Hello ladies and gentlemen, Keaton here, and welcome to Nuclear Throne update number 30. Seriously, we've been doing this for 30 episodes, that's crazy. Anyway, yes, so for those of you who do not know, this is the one time a week where we take a look at the latest Nuclear Throne update, grab that changelog, put it into video format for your viewing pleasure, and show you as much as possible. So with that said, before we head into update number 30, let's take a quick look back at update number 29. So, in update number 29, we saw the addition of 3 new weapons to the game: the smart gun, the heavy crossbow, and the blood hammer. And unfortunately, last week we had a bit of a hiccup in the way that I cover the new weapons, but good news, that has been fixed this week. Here's some footage of said weapons in action, and that wasn't even the only things added last week. Also added last week were new sounds for the fire salamander and the basic guardians. And there was the tweak to the HUD, which would display different colored guns depending on if you had a golden weapon or a cursed weapon. And of course, there were the typical fixes and balances for the week. If you would like the full list or a more in-depth look at last week's update, head over to last week's Nuclear Throne update video, because we are hopping over to update number 30. Now, update number 30 is somewhat smaller in comparison to update number 29, but it still packs quite a punch. First up is the new animation for Rebel's allies. Now, in the past, when you would summon an ally with a Rebel, it would simply pop up on screen, and it would go to town, shooting everything in its way. That has changed. It's a very interesting animation, really. It sort of pops out of a Rebel in a roll-up, and it sort of comes to life. I guess implying that Rebel rolled these guys up. I don't know. Anyway, it's a cute little animation that shows up now when you spawn in an ally versus it just popping in prior to this update. Now, if animations aren't your thing and you want even more weapons because insert ridiculous number of weapons already in the game here is not enough for you, well, good news. There's a brand new amazing weapon called the Lightning Cannon. And it's as amazing as you would expect a weapon called the Lightning Cannon to be. So, the Lightning Cannon, what does it do? Oh, sit down, sirs and madams, let me tell you. So the Lightning Cannon works similarly to the super flat cannon, let's say. It shoots out a very large orb. Now, in Nuclear Throne, it's very important to be accurate, but with the Lightning Cannon, you're going to want to be a little more reckless with where you shoot it, because that orb actually emits like electricity that will hit anything that comes within its vicinity. So, as this thing is trotting along, or whatever you want to call it, hovering along the level, it will continue to shock things before finally exploding after a few seconds of existing into a giant ball of electricity that then is like an AoE effect. So in other words, this is an amazing weapon, and I hope everyone gets to experience it, because as always, Nuclear Throne is known for ridiculous weapons, and this is no exception. So this weapon will cost you 6 energy per shot. That is quite a ammo eater, but if you're lucky, you will be able to use this on a more consistent basis. And believe me, you're going to love it, because it can clear a room pretty dang quickly. So if the insanity of something like a super flat cannon just isn't doing it for you, give the laser cannon a try, because that might do it for you. Now, there is new proper art for the Bloodhammer, Smart Gun, and Heavy Crossbow. Unfortunately, because I couldn't experience them last week, I can't necessarily give you an in-depth detail as to what changed. So you'll just have to take Vlambeer's word on that it looks prettier and nicer, you know, because you gotta look nice when you're killing. Now, the palace is really what should be the main focus of this week. Unfortunately, every time I hit the palace, I die in like 20 seconds, so I really don't have much to show you in terms of footage. But Vlambeer note that the palace has its own algorithm now, so it should no longer look like the desert, for example. It should have its own spawn style, if you will. You know, like how the sewers have their own spawn style versus a more organic look that you would see in the desert. Yeah. That's essentially what it's boiled down to, is the palace now has its own spawn style, so the levels should look much more like a palace should. Also noted is the palace is much larger than a normal level, so expect to be fighting a whole lot more in a much larger space. And to combat this, or I guess to balance it in a way, and this is getting more into the balances, but I'm rounding it all up into the palace right now. there are fewer IDPD that spawn in the palace now, so it's much more you versus the Guardians than you versus the Guardians and the IDPD. And that gives us a nice segue into the balances and fixes this week, so let's check them out. So as already stated, the IDPD will not show up as frequently in the palace, or not as many will show up, I should say. Rebels allies have actually had a couple more tweaks and changes to them. They not only last longer, but now instead of smoking as they did previously, they now bleed. So you can watch your poor old minions bleed to death as you try to desperately keep them alive by sacrificing your own health. Oh my god, what are we getting into, Nuclear Throne? The damage for the heavy crossbow has been increased, and bosses now spawn with more health depending on the loop number. Apparently this is a temporary thing, so if you're one who likes more pain than usual, get your kicks in now, because that will soon be removed at some point. And finally, Vlambeer shows some kindness for the colorblind folk out there who may enjoy Nuclear Throne but could not identify the difference between the sewers and the alligators in terms of colors. Alligators are now a much different color. They are like a dark teal, I guess, blue. They are a different color than they were previously. This is noted as a change to help out colorblind people who may play Nuclear Throne. So it's nice to see that Vlambeer are even thinking of the colorblind people when they're developing this game. That about does it for the update this week. Again, not a significant one, but a pretty fistful of lightning impact nonetheless. Anyway, my thoughts for this week. Love the lightning cannon. Good lord, I would love to see that thing show up in my playthroughs, because that's a nice weapon. It's a really good weapon. There's really nothing to say. If you've seen the footage already, you know that this is probably one of the best weapons in the game. The lightning weapons in general are really good weapons, and it's taken to an extreme with the lightning cannon, but you know, that's awesome. It's definitely one of those weapons that'll probably eat through your ammo if you're not ready to use those types of weapons. But for anyone who's lucky with the ammo drops and whatnot, lightning cannon is pretty dang awesome. And the palace, I would love to have more of an opinion on that, but I can barely make it out of the scrapyard these days. I don't know why. I think my skills are just deteriorating. But yeah, the palace is apparently getting some focus, which is good. So there's always that. Not much to talk about on my front. I've just been dying a lot in the game. I noticed there's still something I highlighted in my video on Thursday is the crossbow collision for the bolts is a little weird. That still seems to be a thing in this update. I'm not sure if they're aware of it, but it's a thing. Or at least it's a thing that I don't think should be a thing. You know, that could just be me. Anyway, that's pretty much all I have to say for this week. Coming up this week is E3, and Vlambeer are going to be there. Apparently they're going to be showcasing Nuclear Throne on PS4, which would be a pretty cool thing. You know, I'm kind of excited. I hope to see Nuclear Throne show up somehow in the PlayStation press conference. That would be pretty cool, just to see it alongside like Uncharted 4 or whatever, and then Nuclear Throne. That would be pretty cool. But yeah, I'm excited to see if they announce anything or talk about anything at E3 regarding Nuclear Throne. They do note that because they are at E3 this week, that the development will be a little slowed down, and I'm not sure if we can expect an update next week. They might need a break, or we probably will see a much less significant update for next week. But again, that's to be expected because Vlambeer are going to be at E3. So I'm just saying right now, don't get your hopes up too high for next week. But again, we will always be here to cover the latest Nuclear Throne update if there is one. And if not, you will just get me playing the game and dying a lot as usual. But yeah, that pretty much does it for this week's Nuclear Throne update. What are your thoughts? I would love to know. How do you guys feel about the lightning cannon? What do you guys think of the new additions to the palace? Anything else on your mind? Yeah, that'll do it for Nuclear Throne update number 30. If you would like to purchase this game yourself, or if you would like to learn more about it, head over to nuclearthrone.com. And as always, if you would like the metadata and all that other good stuff for Nuclear Throne, you can head over to the Nuclear Throne wiki. Link to said wiki can be found in the description below. And if you guys don't know, every Thursday I do a Nuclear Throne playthrough, and it usually results in me getting really salty about getting my butt kicked. But you know, we try to have fun with it, and I usually stop having fun like 20 minutes in because as I said, I keep getting my butt kicked. But you know, it's a fun time. Just so you guys know, you know, we do a lot of Nuclear Throne on this channel. And as always, if you're interested in playing Nuclear Throne in a special way, there's the Nuclear Throne challenges that have been showing up on the Steam forums for Nuclear Throne. You can head over there and check out the latest happenings, and you may feel inferior when you see the skill that some of these players have, but you know, again, just have a good time with it. And that's about it this week. Again, really excited to see Vlambeer at E3. Hope we get some, like, I don't know, interviews, or, you know, I would love to see Nuclear Throne in more of the mainstream circuit, but we'll see what happens. So, yeah, that does it for Nuclear Throne update number 30. I've been blabbering on, I'm sorry, but yeah. So, once again, leave your thoughts and comments. I would love to hear them. And with that said, thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope it was informative, and I will see you guys next week. Bye!